Coverage of Pro Tour Thunder Junction continues here. Riley Knight joined by Cedric Phillips in the booth, and what a pleasure it is to have your company as we continue our coverage of the quarterfinals here. We've got 2 more quarterfinal slots to give away. We're giving them away. We're just giving them away today.
Big news, everybody.
Yeah.
There's yours.
Thanks, mate.
And
That's all mine.
Yeah.
Well, richly deserved. Let's get stuck in here and have a look at what we've got coming up next. Here is the bracket as it stands right now. We saw Ikawa win in a marathon match against Sean Goddard. It was a reverse sweep, seeing the Japanese player make it into the semis 3-2. And it's another Japanese player in the form of Yuta Takahashi who will be in the semis after having won against Reijang, as we just saw. But who will their opponents be? Well, Ikawa will be up against the winner of this next match we're going to check in with, Arne Huschenbeth versus Lucas Duchow. Let's meet our players here. Arne's been around for quite a while. His 3rd top finish now. Very impressive player from Germany. Lucas Duchow, Cedric, I know you go back to playing many, many years ago, right? You were on the, you were playing competitive Magic against this guy back in the olden days?
The old PTQ days back in 2005, 2006, 2007. Yeah.
I was still in high school.
Cool.
Let's get underway.
Thanks.
No, that's fine.
Thanks.
That's fine. Well, Arne, he would have been, learning his letters at that point. This kid is, he's a younger fella. But he's, well, look at this as we jump into game number 3 here. This could be potentially the last one we see between these two players if Huschenbeth is able to grab himself another dub. 3 on the trot, quick win for him potentially, although Lucas Duchow will be doing everything he can to prevent that. So let's see how things go between these two players. We are moving into game number 3, which means that sideboards have come into play. Between Esper Midrange, the mirror here, meaning that, I'm not going to mince my words. These games can go on for a very bloody long time.
Oh, they absolutely can,
yeah.
Without question. And there's a lot of back and forth between these players and this matchup because of key cards like Rafine, because of key cards like Virtue of Loyalty, because of the sideboard options that players do have. Kind of the small mini game is, can I kill Rafine? Now, players have access to Long Goodbye, they have access to Cut Down, so it's a great place to start of just saying, okay, we have to pass the Rafine test first, and then you kind of get into the other aspects of the game, which is the Virtue test and the Fairy Mastermind test, and, the way these decks are able to accumulate card advantage, and how can I handle Preacher, and just, there's a lot of questions to be asked, and answer that question. Okay, fine, no more lines going to take care of Big Bats. So there's a lot of, I'm going to do this, can you respond to this in kind, sort of back and forth between these two players, and then numbers get involved with how much players are attacking and conniving for. Like you said, it can take a while.
These games can get very, very grindy, and I can tell you that game number 2 lasted 6 minutes. So never mind. Okay. Or the point that we've just set up to make, Cedric, here. Now we look like fools, except twist ending.
Yeah.
Game number 1, 63 minutes.
Okay.
63 minutes.
You know what's nice?
That is almost 11 episodes of the popular children's television program Bluey.
I've heard nothing but good things.
It's very good.
That's what I hear from
very, very good.
Nowadays,
I'll drop my Bluey episode tier list for you, Cedric. I don't even have kids, and I love watching this TV show. It's actually very good. I'm not joking, too.
Okay.
Okie dokes, we've got the Wandering Emperor here for Arne Huschenbeth. Already made a samurai on the other side of things. A little Vampo in the Preacher of the Schism here for Lucas. So Arne, upstairs, put a counter on the Samurai. Still can't attack into that Preacher, however, at 2-4 set.
Not yet. Not yet, but perhaps soon.
Rafine now. Oh, maybe we can attack, actually, right?
Well,
With the Rafine? No, too much of a risk. Go for the throat, I should say. It's going to get rid of the Rafine. And a wedding announcement to round out Arne's turn. Very nice little turn for him there. Good
turn for both players. For Arne, able to make the Samurai token a little bit larger, resolve a wedding announcement, and start to get that ball rolling, which is another kind of sub-game that happens in the Esper mid-range mirror. If you're rooting for Lucas, able to stop Arne's copy of Rafine, play his own, and continue to move forward appropriately with an attack here with the Preacher, which is a very difficult card to block in a meaningful way. So good back-and-forth exchange. Would expect nothing less in an Esper mid-range mirror. I don't think we're going to see a 60-minute game. I don't think we're going to see a 6-minute game either. Maybe somewhere in between.
Maybe 16. We'll find out. We've got the Preacher getting in now. Lucas draws a card with its second or third ability, I guess, if you're going to include the Death Touch. And before the Preacher can preach any longer, it's going to be exiled by the Wandering Emperor's third ability there. Or fourth, or fifth ability, depending on how we're counting them. But you understand what I mean. The -2 exile, get off my case. Come on, you understood what I meant.
Well, Lucas is responding by channeling his Otawara at the Preacher. So this means that the Wandering Emperor is not going to exile it because Lucas is putting a huge priority on keeping the Preacher on the battlefield while also knocking down that Wandering Emperor. Now, we saw Arne cycle a Rafine's Tower in response, maybe try to stop that. Didn't work. So what that means to me is that Lucas's hand isn't very good if the goal is to save the Preacher via the Otawara, which, again, I could be wrong, and obviously draw steps change things, as does a Connive. And now here's a Deep Cavern Bat, showing that Arne has not much going on. So, again, interesting back and forth here. Now, as far as who has the best thing going on, I think it's arguable. On one side, you got Arne, who does have a wedding announcement. On the other side of things, you've got Lucas, who has a Rafine going. I think it's advantage Lucas here.
Yeah, I think pretty clearly, particularly now there's a Preacher comes down. We've got the Bat, which can is a really great place to dump those +1/+1 Connive counters.
But it doesn't take much for that to change. As an example, if something were to roll off of the top of the deck here for Arne, like a Virtue of Loyalty, the dynamic on this game could change very quickly.
Arne also increased his threat density after board, cutting cards like Deep Cavern Bat and Denic in exchange for things like Aklazots and the Wandering Emperor. Also some other interactive elements, Destroy Evil, Long Goodbye. On the other side of things, Lucas took out all his copies of No More Lies, 3 copies out, 3 copies of Duelist in the Mind out as well. He's gone much more interactive, Blot Out, Destroy Evil, Long Goodbye, Cut Down, all coming in. So a grindy matchup made all the grindier as we see big threats, but also efficient interaction brought in post-board games.
And we see a shift there with the Wandering Emperor that Arne did draw too. So I agreed with you insofar as it looked like Lucas was starting to kind of pull ahead a little bit here. Again, it's kind of a battle of the 3-mana permanents and wedding announcement. And Rafine, slight advantage to Rafine. Well, Rafine's gone now. And so now I do think it is slight advantage over to Huschenbeth.
As you said before, what difference a draw step makes, huh?
In this matchup, in a grindy mid-range matchup that looks like this, it can get very swingy very quickly.
Right, Deep Cavern Bat gets in. Lucas back up to 20. Over to Arne now. Got 2/2/2 humans, thanks to the wedding festivity. And didn't have a whole lot going on in hand last time we checked in with that Deep Cavern Bat, so we'll see if the top of his library has been a bit kinder to him. Restless Anchorage also an option for the German here.
Yeah, after the kind of initial salvos that do take place in a mid-range matchup like this, almost regardless of what color the decks are, mid-range matches, generally see a lot of back and forth in the earlier stages of the game, which we did see in this one. Rafine's getting killed, counter spells being played, and then who can kind of peel out the best. And thus far, Arne drew a Wandering Emperor for the Rafine, and now a Virtue of Loyalty that he's going to just hard cast as opposed to maybe making the 2/2 and then casting it because Arne wants to play around No More Lies.
Now, he doesn't know that No More Lies has been taken out here, but it has. Yep. And so we're seeing the Restless Anchorage, once the Virtue resolves, he's not wasting that mana. Yep. He activates the Anchorage, which will then untap and pick up a counter, and now advantage firmly for Arne Huschenbeth here.
But it could swing very quickly. There is a Rafine off the top there for Lucas. A couple of cards drawn via the Connive trigger. But you and I have seen both Friday, yesterday, and potentially right now, the power in situations like this that Virtue of Loyalty has.
Yeah, Virtue of Loyalty has won so many games across the weekend, and I have a suspicion it's going to win here again unless Lucas can find something very, very swiftly. Because especially with that Restless Anchorage, being able to wake up, attack, untap as it gets a counter as well to keep the mana going. But not this time, says Arne. No, just getting in with the 3/3 humans instead. Go for the throat on the Rafine before blocks.
That's 3 good draw steps in a row there for Huschenbeth. Let's make it 4.
And another wedding announcement, this time in foil. And it will generate more tokens, which means more counters, more power and toughness. Draw a card off the wedding announcement instead of the tokens because 2 creatures attacked. Oops. But hey, you happy to get extra cards, no worries.
Oh, I mean, you can't be unhappy with that. Again, mid-range mashups like this, card count and card quality is what matters. And again, this is what's going to happen.
Well, look at this.
Who's going to draw better in this spot?
Yeah.
And who's going to get the opportunity to look at more cards? Again, Lucas right now doesn't have Virtue of Loyalty going, but he's kind of got everything else. You know, he has Fairy Mastermind. He has Rafine. The Deep Cavern Bat, you know, Lifelink actually may matter in this instance because he's starting to get beat down by some real creatures at this stage of things. But, you know, Lucas would love a Virtue of his own, perhaps.
But you can see how important it was for Lucas to find good cards.
Yes.
In that he woke up and sent with the Restless Anchorage as well, just to get as many looks as possible.
Yep.
Putting a counter on the Deep Cavern Bat, nice and useful. Going to buff the life total a little bit. All things, everything tied up now at 13 apiece. I'd say Arne still has the advantage with the Virtue, but Lucas is digging deep to try to find an answer or to find a way back into this game.
Yeah, it's not an overwhelming advantage here from Huschenbeth if he does have one, though these creatures continue to be quite large.
Yep, and they come. Don't forget they've all got +1/+1 in addition to the counters. We're going to see a chump block here.
So I think that should be a hit for 8. Maybe I'm a little high on that.
No, that's 8 life.
No.
It's eight power with a 4/4 human and a 4/5 Restless Anchorage.
Yep.
Map token, targeting Restless Anchorage. You got to look first, mate. And yeah, you don't get the counter.
You don't get that counter right away.
You're not getting a counter. No, it's a land instead. And Arne's actually sitting on 2 lands. His draw steps have draw steps have kind of calmed down a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, definitely a good string in a row to get Arne back into this game. You saw Lucas actually draw another card there because of the Fairy Mastermind trigger. First draw step plus the map, which drew the land, triggers the Mastermind. So Lucas is still seeing a decent amount of cards. Actually, I would say seeing more cards right now than Huschenbeth. It's just the card quality and the base that Arne has set up is better than what Lucas has going on right now, but that could change starting with a map token
I
activation.
don't know that you draw off the Fairy Mastermind from the Explore.
No, well, we're here.
Yeah, I don't know that you. I'm not sure on the exact ruling, but I don't know if it's draw or if the card is just put into your hand. If it's a land.
And there may have been an additional card draw that we may have missed.
Yeah. Oh, the wedding festivity.
There you go.
The wedding.
There you go.
The wedding announcement. There we go. Yeah. All right, Lucas now on 6. Is going to send here. And again, the bat is the target of Rafine's trigger. Makes sense. If you're going to discard a bunch of non-lands, buffer your life total nicely with a Deep Cavern Bat. And discards, 2. So that's now a 4/4 lifelinker. Whew. It's turning into a respectable threat. And the answer as well for the Restless Anchorage in the form of Destroy Evil means that the bat won't be eaten up.
Yeah, and that's notable not only because the bat doesn't get eaten up, but also because that Restless Anchorage, pardon me, that was the one that had some counters on it.
Yep.
Pretty big, was assisting Arne with the attacks here in what is kind of starting to turn into a bit of a weird racing scenario.
Yeah, and in a racing scenario, if you're the one behind a 4/4 flying lifelinker, I don't mind this. But on 10 life, with 2 5/5s and a 3/4 flyer, and just the one blocker here, is this going to be it? In they come.
No, that's not going to be it at all.
No, we've got a Tishana's Tidebinder to perhaps counter the ability from the Restless Anchorage. All right. No map token for you. And here are the blocks. 5 life. Lucas down to 5. Same as Arne. We've had a very close game in terms of life totals. It's not the first time that these two have been tied. So, untap, end step, draw a card. Fairy Mastermind will trigger. There was another wedding announcement in Arne's hand there. So a counter on the Restless Anchorage. And another +1/+1 Anthem effect here, Cedric.
Yep.
So how big are these creatures now? Absolutely enormous. There's 7/7s, these humans.
think Lucas is going to try to cross the finish line here.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's going to get there as well because
it's all flyers.
Because the anchorage is not awake. I don't know if Arne has enough blockers here.
Yeah, he's going to need blockers and removal spells.
He can wake up the anchorage. We're going to see connive here. Draw 5, discard 5. This could make the bat truly colossal, or whatever Lucas has pointed the connive trigger at it. Maybe the Fairy Mastermind might be one of the restless anchorages.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen here, I think Arne is going to concede this game, but he wants to get information on his way out the door. I don't think he has enough. I don't think he has enough blockers on later, Jazz. So you might as well get a good look at it before
he's going to
pack
it up. Wow, look at that. So Arne firmly ahead for a long time there with that virtue of loyalty, but Lucas, top of his library, treated him very well, and he used all the resources that he drew to excellent advantage to get himself across the line there. Well done. Full credit to the American.
Yeah,
he did a great job.
That was a game that was back and forth. It was a virtue game that half of it was a virtue game, half of it was a Rafine game. The thing that Rafine does nicely, of course, is that Rafine sees a lot of cards. So it's not to say that Rafine is better than Virtue of Loyalty when both of them are on the battlefield. It's just the game takes a very unique texture, and Virtue was not enough in that instance where clearly Rafine was.
Quietly, MVP, Deep Cavern Bat.
Lifelink's nice.
Yeah, no, it was because Lucas would have gone down without that.
That's right.
He ended the game on 5. The bat gained him, I think, 8 life, maybe 9.
Yeah.
So that bat was critical in keeping Lucas alive there. But this bat isn't going to be, as it gets hit by a No More Lies by Arne, who follows things up with a wedding announcement. It's a 1-1 into play. And it's back over to Lucas, who has a second bat, and this one is going to find its target. Go for the Throat, Rafine, Fairy Mastermind, and another go for the Throat, mismatched. And we're going to get rid of Rafine to the Deep Cavern Bat. Often we'll see Deep Cavern Bat take out a removal spell, but when they're sitting on 2 copies of a removal spell, is not really any point. So instead, instead Arne's just going to draw another Rafine off the top.
Not a bad draw step.
Must be nice.
Not a bad draw step at all there.
Must be very, very nice. So Rafine joins the human token. Oh, sorry, the human token joins Rafine, really. But a cut down is going to get rid of the Scheming Seer, and in comes the Deep Cavern Bat for Lucas, +1.
So you can see as this game is starting to take shape a little bit, this is why Wedding Announcement is so powerful in this deck. It's a slow incremental advantage, right? You know, it's not a card that comes down and is like Rafine and kind of hits you over the head and makes you panic a little bit. But if you've played this matchup enough, you know how powerful it is because the small incremental advantages of making a couple of 1/1s, potentially drawing a card or two, and now also your creatures get a little bit larger. There's just been a lot of value generated from that single card over the past 3 turns.
Yeah.
And again, it's not on the same power level as Rafine or the same, ceiling as a Virtue of Loyalty, but it's just a really nice role player and something to do at 3 mana in the matchup.
It's just funny to look at because you look at that and you go, okay, that goes in a white weenie aggro deck, right? Like it's a card that makes a bunch of tokens, can draw life, can draw cards, it rewards you for attacking, and then it gives you an Anthem effect at the end of it. You'd think that would be tailor-made for a little white weenie aggro deck, but no, it's actually seeing and playing a very important role in a grindy mid-range list.
Yeah.
Because of, as you say, Cedric, the value it generates.
Yeah, it's just the small incremental advantages. And when you're in a mid-range mirror, it's all about small incremental advantages. Of course, there can be big swings. Again, the aforementioned Virtue, the very, very powerful Rafine, and maybe activations of Fairy Mastermind. But that's the kind of card that you want to play. And it is a card type and enchantment that is a little bit obnoxious to try to deal with.
I do like Gabriel Nassif's technology of playing main deck Destroy Evil. There's very few matchups in which it is a blank. Even against mono red, it's going to kill a Commander faces Kakazan, even when it's flipped.
Oh, 9. You're right. Sorry.
9. All right, in they come. 9 damage. Lucas down to 9. That's a lot of damage, and it's going to be enough here for Arne Huschenbeth to win game number 4. Lucas congratulates him on his victory, as do we, Cedric. Arne is our next semi-finalist.
He is, and we have talked a little bit about Arne and his want, and some could argue his need to get back to this level. We saw him win a little bit as far as major tournaments are concerned during the pandemic era of Magic, as the kind of way I like to put it. And then, of course, the Arena Champs that we saw a couple of weeks ago where he was able to make the elimination rounds of that tournament. But he wants to say that he's been able to win a real-life Pro Tour. That's a big deal for him. If you were with us yesterday, you saw the emotion after he clinched top 8. He was crying with his teammates, and understandably so, because this is a huge goal for him. You don't know how long you're going to be able to do this thing on the Pro Tour and be able to stay at this high level. We've seen some players disappointed by their finishes over the past handful of Pro Tours, and having to earn their way back here again. Arne's here. He wants to take advantage of it, and thus far he's doing so, Riley. On to the top 4.
Yes, indeed. And we can hear from Arne now. He got the chance to catch up with Ailey after his win. So let's head down and hear what he had to say after taking out Lucas.